Great. Uh, Hi, everyone. This is Mr. Shagney going over the math formative, the study guide ratios. We're just going to quickly go through this. So it says write each ratio in simplest form in two different ways. 36 bananas to 27 apples. So I'm going to write 36 over 27. I need to put that in simplest form. What numbers go into both 36 and 27? Well, I know that if I count by nines, nines goes into both 36 and 27, so I'm going to divide both of these by 9. If I divide 36 by 9, I get 4. If I divide 27 by 9, I get 3. So the smallest answer is 4 over 3. Two different ways to write that is 4 colon 3 or 4 2 3, because it says in two different ways. The second one says 30 quarters to 72 nickels. And looking at this and evaluating this problem, the first thing I'm going to do is notice that both of these numbers are even, so I know they're divisible by 2. I'm going to look at them and I'm going to add the digits together to see if they're divisible by 3. 3 plus 0 is 3. 7 plus 2 is 9. Both of those numbers are divisible by 3. Therefore, this one is divisible by 6. So 30 divided by 6 is 5. 72 divided by 6 is 12. And that's me understanding divisibility rules. I have to write that two separate ways. That's 5 colon 12 or 5 to 12. Down here it says complete the sentence to describe the picture. The ratio of dogs to cats is, well, I see 3 dogs to 4 cats. For every 3 dogs, there are 4 cats, right? It says to make a snack mix, combine 2 cups of raisins with 4 cups of pretzels and 6 cups of almonds. Create a diagram to represent the quantities of each ingredient in the recipe. If I have 2 cups of raisins, I'm going to draw 2 squares, and these are going to represent my raisins. 4 cups of pretzels, I'm going to draw 4 squares, and then I'm going to put little diagonal lines in them to show that that's representing something different. And then 6 cups of almonds, so then I'm going to draw 6 boxes. And inside each of these boxes, I'm going to draw little circles, kind of like a dice or die, to show that these represent something else. That's 5, and this is 6. It says, what is the ratio in simplest form? Write each ratio of these in simplest form. So this is how to make a diagram. That's all you have to do. Write these in simplest form. I have 200 over 5. If a number ends in 5 or 0, it's divisible by 5. So I'm going to divide both of these by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. I'm going to look at this number. 20 divided by 5 is 4. And I'm going to place that 0 in there that I didn't use. So that's 40 over 1. 2 kilometers to 72 meters. In this problem, I notice that both of these numbers are even. So I can divide them by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 72 cut in half. 72 cut in half. 2 goes into 7 3 times. That gives me 6. Left with 12. 2 goes into 12 6 times, so this is 36. Simplest form. The next page says express each rate as a unit rate, round to the nearest tenth when necessary. Well, if I want to solve for unit rates, I have to find out how much is in 1, so how many inches of rain happened in 1 day. So I have to take 5 and divide that by 3. 3 goes into 5 1 time. I'm left with 2. 3 can not go into 2, so I'm going to put a decimal, add a 0. 3 into 20 is 6 times. And this is going to repeat, so the answer is going to be 1.6, and that 6 is going to repeat. When you want to show that something's repeating, you just place a line on the top. So that's 1 and 6 tenths, or 1 and 66 hundredths, or 1 and 666 thousandths. And it just goes on forever. 225 Skittles in 4 bags. So how many is in 1 bag? Divide by 4. 4 goes into 22 5 times. 4 times 5 is 20. Bring down 2, bring down the 5. 4 into 25, that is 6 times. Left with 1. place a decimal point here, and then bring down a 0. 4 into 10, that's going to be 2 times, right? And I can leave it like this, 56 and 2/10. And remember that I told you you could use the approximately sign for these because they are going to keep going forever. Number 6 says, express each rate as a unit rate, round to the nearest cent when necessary. 8 movie tickets for $63.60. How much for 1 ticket? So I take $63.60 and divide by 8. Remember, when you have a decimal inside, you move the decimal straight up. 8 into 63, I know that 8 times 7 is 56. And that's going to, 63 minus 56 is going to be 7. I'm going to bring down the 6. 8 into 76 is 9. That's 72. That's 4. 0. 8 into 40 is 5. So it's $7.95 per ticket. It says $3,440 for 7 nights. So how much is it for 1 night? 7 goes into 34. 4 times, that's 28. 34 minus 28 would give me 6. Bring down the 4. 7 into 64. 7 goes into 64 9 times. That's 63. And then 7 into 10 1 time. You can't go into that number, so 37 into 30 is about 4 times, so you're looking at approximately $491.40 per night. The next question says, in a recipe for fizzy grape juice, the ratio of cups of sparkling water to cups of grape juice concentrate is 3:1. So this is the unit I'm working with for these problems. Find 2 more ratios of sparkling cup juice to concentrate that would make the mixture taste the same as the recipe. So I have 3:1. I want to find 2 equivalent ratios. So I can multiply this by 2, right? So that would give me 6/1. 6/1 is one possible answer. I can multiply 3 by 1 by 3. That would give me 9/3. 9/3 is another possibility. So you could scale it however you want. So if I ask you to give me 2 ratios that are the same, you can scale them upwards or you can reduce them. Up to you. It's all depending on how you want to show me that you know how to do that. It says, to make 1 batch of sky blue paint, Claire mixes 2 cups of blue paint with 1 gallon of white paint. So my ratio is 2/1. And then it's 2 blue to 1 white. So I'm going to write blue, B for blue and W for white. Explain how Claire can make 2 batches. So in 1 batch, right, this is making 1 batch. It has to be 2 blue, 1 white. So I want to make 2 batches. If I want to make 2 of them, right, I need to take 2/1 times 2 on both numbers, and that's going to give me 4/2. So Claire would need, so in order to explain this, because it does say explain, Claire would need to use 4 gallons of blue paint and 2 gallons of white paint. To make 2 batches of sky blue paint. And that's just me explaining what these numbers mean, right? So I'm explaining that she would need 4 blue to 2 white in order to make 2 batches of this mixture. Explain how to make a mixture that is a darker shade of blue than sky blue. So if I wanted a darker shade of blue, what I could do is I could use less white, right? So the white dilutes it. So if I want to make a mixture That is a darker shade. I could use more blue paint. And the same amount of white paint. Same amount of white paint. Or I could use, basically, so this says to make sure that it's darker shade, I could use more blue paint. So if I wanted to make a darker shade of blue, I could use more blue paint, or I could keep the blue paint the same and use less white paint. Both of those answers would be perfectly reasonable if I asked you to make a darker shade of a color. All right, moving forward. This question up here says, determine whether the quantities in each table represent a proportional relationship. If yes, give the constant rate. So, do we recognize a pattern in this table? Well, I can see that 2 times 6 gives me 12. Is that true here? 4 times 6 does give me 24. 6 times 6 does give me 36. 8 times 6 does give me 48. So this is a proportional relationship. And the rate is times 6. Okay. Mark earns 4 points for each question he answers correctly on his math test. Complete the table to find out if there's a proportional relationship. So if he gets 4 points for every right question, that means 4 points per one question. So 4 to 1 is 4 points for one question. If he gets 12 questions correct, what would I have to do? So remember, you get 4 points per question, so that's 12 times 4. 12 times 4 is 48 points. If he gets 17 questions right, that's 17 times 4. That's 28, 68, so you get 68, and I'm doing this times 4, right? Each of these numbers times 4, because he gets 4 points every time he answers a question right. 21 times 4, that's 84, and 25 times 4 is going to give us 100. Okay? It says one batch of brownies calls for 1 box of brownie mix and the ingredients shown below. What amount of eggs, water, and oil would you need for 4 batches of fudge-like brownies? So here's fudge-like. If I want to make 4 batches, that means that I need to take each ingredient and times it by 4. So for eggs, I need 8 eggs. 1/4 times 4, that's like this, 1/4 times 4. Remember, place a 1 underneath that, that's 4 over 4, which is equivalent to 1 cup of water. If I do 1/2 times 4, if I say what's half of 4, half of 4 is 2 cups. So 2 cups of, so 1 cup water, 2 cups of oil. Okay? It says what amount of eggs, water, and oil would you need for half a batch of cake-like brownies? So here's cake-like, and I am multiplying each one of these by half. So I need to look at these numbers and say, well, what's half of that? Right? So for eggs, I take 3 times 1 over 2. Remember to place a 1 underneath the 3. That's 3 over 2. So I need 3 halves, or 1 and 1/2 eggs. For for the cups of water, I take 1/4 times 1/2. That's 1 over 8 because I multiplied 1 by 1 and 4 times 2, so that's 1/8 cup of water. And then for oil, it's 1/2 times 1/2, right? Which would give me 1. 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, 1/4 cup of oil. Okay? This one says, this is the double number line. This double number line shows the amount of flour and eggs needed for one batch of cookies. It shows us that it's counting by fives at the top, so each tick mark is 5. So if I plug this in, this is 10, this is 15, this is 20. On the bottom, it shows that number of eggs used is 3. So 3, 6, 9, 12. How much flour is used with 6 eggs, right? So if you look at this, counting by that, so if I plug in the numbers, because I'm counting by 3, each tick mark counts as another, you adding 3 each time, right? So number of eggs is 6. What matches up with that? 10. So 10 cups of flour are needed to make one batch of cookies. And that is just understanding that the relationship is 5 to 3 at the beginning. So then if I want to make 6, I have to multiply this by 2. So that means I multiply this by 2 as well. All right. And then we have these problems. Determine whether the pair of ratios forms a proportion. Remember, in order to determine this, we have to cross multiply and then compare the numbers. So I'm going to do 7 times 24. Write that over here, 24 times 7. 7 times 4 is 28. 7 times 2 is 14. 15, 16. That's 168. So I'm going to write that underneath the first number. And we have to see if that is equivalent to 21 times 12. 21 times 12. That's 2. This is 4. Add a placeholder. 1, 2. That's 2, 5, 252. So 168 and 252 are not equal. They're not the same. If they are equal, then they form a proportion, but these are not. So I would write no. On this one, I take 12 times 26, so 26 and 12. 6 times 2 is 12. That's 2 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 5. Add a placeholder. 6. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 plus 0 is 2. 5 plus 6 is 11. 2 plus 1 is 3. So this first number is 312. And then I take 39 times 8. So you're going to see that I'm going to multiply this out because I don't believe in doing things in my head. 9 times 8 is 72. 8 times 3 is 24. 24 plus 7 is 31. So 312 and 312 are equal, so this is yes, they do form a proportion. Down here, we're going to solve each proportion and check our solution. So in this problem, we're going to cross multiply. 36 times 2. 36 times 2 gives me 6 times 2 is 12. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 72 equals 8x. When I get this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by 8 on both sides. So 72 divided by 8 is 9, so x equals 9. On this problem, I have covered up the work almost, so that's a times 32. So that's 32a equals 26 times 8. 26 times 8. 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times 2 is 16. Plus 4 is 20, so that's 208. And then I have to divide by 32. 208 divided by 32. So 32. How many times can 32 go into 28? I'm going to try some numbers out. So I'm going to say 32 times 4. That's 8. 4 times 3 is 12. It's too small. 32 times 9, 18, 27, 28, that's too large. 32 times 6, 12, 18, 19. And it looks about right, 6, 192. So that's 8, 16, 32 into 160. Be about 32 times 5, 10, 15, 16, 6.5. A equals 6.5. says 1 batch of meatloaf contains 2 pounds of beef and 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs. Complete the double number line to show the amounts of beef and breadcrumbs needed for 1, 2, 3, and 4 batches of meatloaf. So up here, I'm counting by 2 because 1 batch requires 2 pounds. So this is 2, 4, 6, 8. This is 1 batch, 2 batch, 3 batch, 4 batch. Okay, down below, underneath it, if I remember the first one requires 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs. So I'm going to double. What's 1/2 plus 1/2 is 1 whole. Then that's 1 and 1/2. And then it's 2 wholes. Okay, so last problem. 4 movie tickets cost $48. At this rate, what is the cost of 5 movie tickets? Well, I want to find out what the cost is for 1, so I take $48 divided by 4. That's 12, right? 12 times 5 would be $60. 12 times 11 is $132. So I found this, which was 12. So 48 divided by 4, and then did 12 times 5, 60. 12 times 11 is 132.